In this lesson, we'll start setting up the section and elevation for our plans. Now, we have in the previous lessons added enough information on both plans to start looking at how we can create a section and an elevation to give us more information from the outside. So what we want to do first is we want to make the critical decisions of where the sections are going to be. Typically for the elevations, you would go and do all four of them. For the case in our course, we're going to just do one of them and we're going to do one section. And we're going to have a look at how both of those have a very similar workflow, and we just basically carry on doing that same principle to all the different sides and all the other sections that you need to make for your particular project. So for these section lines, what we can do is we can copy the predetermined section that is here in our template. So I'm going to just select this one that is on the right hand side, and I'm going to cut a horizontal section. I think that one of the very interesting things about this house is the way that the garage connects to the living space, which connects to the terrace and then connects to the pool, and then has a rim flow edge on this side, and then has a beautiful garden on this side. So all of that I think can be represented through one long section, and that is what we're going to find a location for. So a good place to put that would be around about here, so that we can cut through the garage door. We can see exactly what is happening. We'll also be cutting through the bedroom upstairs, so we'll be able to see a part of the bed if we do draw all the furniture in the sections themselves, and we'll be able to understand what's happening as we make that cut, especially with all of these slabs. So all you need to do here is move your section line out so that you can see it quite clearly. So you can either move it right out of your drawing, or you can leave it roughly about here. I reckon I'll leave it more or less in that location. And then move your section line till about there. And we're going to mirror the A symbol to the other side. So now we have a section AA. Now the next section that we do, if we had to do another one, would be called BB. And remember that if it is cutting in this direction, it will also be called BB. It doesn't have any relation to do with the grid line symbols A, B, C, or any of these numbers. So the two are separate systems that basically function in their own domain. So for the elevation, what I think would be a good elevation to do would be to show the side elevation. So from the ocean side here, looking at the building. The reason why that is interesting is because we'll start to capture what happens with all of the overhanging swimming pools, the deck that we have going above the slope below. So that is going to be the more exciting section for our presentation. So if you do a concept design like this and you do only have time to do one section and one elevation, choose the ones that are going to grab the most amount of interest and attention from the people that are going to be looking at your presentation. Remember that less is more, and sometimes if you can really squeeze out an excellent single drawing, it is better than doing an average sum of showing absolutely everything. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to decide where I'm going to draw my section, and I'm going to start doing that over here, and then I'm going to start drawing the elevation over here in this dimension. So the other thing I want to do just before I start drawing anything is I'm going to copy this with the base point to the upper level. So just to have a look exactly where I'm cutting, I'm not going to worry about this furniture or anything. I just want to make sure that I'm cutting through the room, and then I'm going to be able to visualize that space. Now all of this is going to be shown in elevation. So technically you could call this a sectional elevation, because we'll be showing half as we create this drawing. So to do your initial setup, what you want to do is you want to start with the most important things first, or with the biggest things first, and then basically work your way down to a simpler level. So basically it's the same process as what we did when we were drawing our plans. And in order to do this, what you can do is you can turn on your contours, and you can start to turn off some of your more complicated geometry. For example, you don't necessarily need your grid lines. You can, we will, not you can, but we will add them to the section at the end. But what we want to do is we want to just capture the most important things first. So for example, with the contours being on, we can decide that we're going to draw our section roughly in this area, since there is free space. And you can then see from the outside contours what height your ground line is. So it's a good idea to start with your height lines and to draw your ground line. So in our case, we don't exactly know what this figure is. I'm going to have a look. If this is 2 meters, then this will be about 1.5 or so. So let's say that this is going to be 1 meter. Just for argument's sake, and I don't exactly know because this is a figurative project. So let's assume that this is 1 meter for our case, and we will then draw a horizontal line, which is going to be our ground line, and this is going to be 1 meter in our books. We're going to make that magenta since it's the thickest line, and we're going to work from there. That's going to be our height line of 1 meter. So the next thing you want to do is you want to start looking at what your floor levels are, and you want to start drawing your major horizontal lines. So here we have a floor level of 2.45. So if you know that this is 1 meter, you know that by offsetting 1 meter down, you're going to get a 0 line. So what you want to do there is you want to go to your height lines, which are these ones here, and you want to start filling that information in. So this is the most crucial setup process where you establish what your main heights are, and you start to basically add the information from bottom to top. So this is going to be 0, this is going to be 1 meter, this is going to be called datum, this is going to be called natural ground level, but I'm still going to copy that upwards by 1.4. Just going to double check that height. It's 1.45. So I'm going to copy this entire line upwards by 1.45. And this is going to be the height of 2.45, which is the ground floor level. And this one is going to be called natural ground. So for these lines, what we want to do is we want to get a dashed line as well, so we can get an idea that the ground is being cut through, which is this thick line, and then we're going to have these dashed lines which are going to be showing our heights. This can be brought in, and that is already the foundation of our section. And you can start in the next section to copy your grid lines. So you can just go ahead and copy that entire system of grid lines and move that down. Remember to hit F8 so that you're orthogonally locked into your movements, so that you don't accidentally move things left and right. You want to make sure that you're always keeping things neatly vertically placed. And what you can do now is you can trim off all those excess lines. You want to keep that nice and horizontal. And once you have that in place, then you do already have the fundamental outline for where your building is going to be. So next thing you can start doing is you can copy your title block. And the same thing will happen for the elevation. We will be able to pretend at least that the elevation is almost like a section, but the section is being cut through the ground before the building. So we'll do exactly the same process as what's happening here. I'm going to stop the video, and in the next video I would have done this exact same thing for that elevation from the side, and then in the next video we will basically continue on this section from where I've left off right now.